What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the collective clips where you already know. We about to get it in. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding. Put your notification on all so that way you're directing in the direction of the dope content that I am kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. Thank you guys very much. I'm very humbled. So I've been asked a lot of questions. And one of the questions I get asked constantly was, what's up with your cellies? Cellies I've had in prison, cellies I had over the 19 years total that I did incarcerated, from all the way from juvenile hall to the youth authority to prison. What are some of the craziest cellies I've ever had? Some of the craziest stories you've ever heard from your cellies? Now, I've had some good cellies. I've had some bad cellies.
Homie, I had some stinky cellies, right?
But at the end of the day, there's one celly that stands out amongst the rest because his story, even though it added up, he was about that part, but he didn't look that part. The Vato looked like a mix between Weird Al and Homie the Clown. Hair all fucked up, bald in the middle, big old bifocals. I thought immediately, as soon as I was placed in that cell with them, oh man, this is going to end ugly for him. This guy right here has definitely got some bad cases on his fucking belt, and I'm going to have to expose it. And I'm in a situation now where I'm just going to have to do what I have to do. Now, you got to understand, when you go to prison, you, for the most part, unless you have juice, unless you're somebody and part, like, say, of an organization or a certain group, then you might have a little say-so on who you get celled up with. But usually when you get into prison, you take whatever cellies they give you, whether it's in prison, the county jail, whatever. You're going to have to deal with what they give you, right? And you're going to have to figure it out for yourself. You know, I've been told many a times, well, what do you do in the case that you get a cellie that has a sex offense or someone that's weird? Well, you know, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You should already know by the type of character you are, by the type of man you are, and what your morals and your values are, what you have to do. Now, in some cases, there are cops that will put you in that situation so that way you will get caught up. That's just the shitty end of the stick. That's just the way it goes, right? But in this particular case, I almost jumped the gun, and it almost got ugly before it got pretty. Well, it never really got pretty, right? You don't use that word in prison or in county jail. So anyways, I go to the county jail, and I get there, and I already know that the case they got me on, I'm probably looking at a prison term, so I'm not happy. Pretty depressed at this point. I think when you first go to jail, when you're caught, you're finally caught, and the situation's ugly, and you got to get lawyers, and you're just starting out your time. You look on that cop car ride right when you're pulling into the county jail, like, damn, I ain't gonna be getting fresh air anytime soon. This is it. They got me, right? And that was my mentality. These fuckers got me. Now I'm gonna have to sit down for several years. I'm gonna have to work out the best deal I can with this public defender because I ain't got no money to get a lawyer and all that. So I was pretty depressed and pretty angry with everyone around me and myself. And then comes the gang aspect. Because I was an active Norteño at that time, I have to deal with the fact that usually Northerners are in situations where, unless you're out of your own hometown or your county, you know, it's going to be ugly. There's going to be more opposition than there are friends, more foes than friends, you know, and more people that identify with those foes because they don't want to get caught up. So they want to prove to themselves or prove to everyone, especially them guys, that they're cool with them. So everyone's against you. That's how you feel. That's how I felt, right? Wasn't nothing new. I was used to going to county jails, getting caught up. I was used to doing time. And I was used to the opposition being thick and being thin myself, right? So I get to R&R in the county jail, which is different from prison. See, in prison, you get to reception and you look around and there's a lot of seasoned guys that have been to prison. There's a lot of guys that know what time it is, right? I myself in county jail have always hated it. County jails suck. And the reason they suck is you got a lot of people that are coming down, a lot of people that are on a good one, a lot of people that are in on knick-knack, paddywhack crimes. And there's always that, they put you in a holding cell forever, and there's always going to be a guy pacing on the phone, asking everyone advice when he's only looking at like 22 days in jail. You're sitting there looking at a prison term. The last thing you want to do is hear it. You're tired. You just want to go to sleep, grab your roll of toilet paper, throw it up under the head, and sleep that shit off, right? But you always have the one guy, hey, dog, hey, hey, home.
They be like this. They be like, hey, doggy, hey, so you think I'm going to get out? I got caught with six zips of meth. And like, look.
Bro, I don't know what you got caught with or what you got going on, but shut the fuck up. I'm trying to sleep. You know, and you can't be like that. You can't tell someone straight up, shut the hell up. You're not trying to hear it. You're not trying to hear a guy snivel on the phone to his mom. You don't understand. She said she was 18. Nah, this ain't that SPM shit. You got to go, homie, right? You don't want to hear everyone's business because you got your own business going on. So I remember that day, man, I went from what I call R&R, which is basically the holding cell, to getting fingerprinted, getting my picture ran, getting all these things. They're looking up different counties, making sure there's no warrants or whatever. And then after a long day of all that bullshit going back and forth and sitting in that cell eating the fucking sack lunches, they finally decide to put me in my unit where I'm going to be for the time being, right? And I'll never forget. So they placed me on this block in this building. And it was a long corridor, and there were cells on one side, and all the cell doors were open, which tripped me out, right? All the cell doors were open, which meant that, and there was a lot of metal tables outside. It was a very thin hallway. It looked almost like a hole in a prison, right? So there was a lot of interaction. People were going from cell to cell, kicking it. You'd walk by cells, there'd be 3 or 4 individuals in one cell playing cards, dominoes. They had dominoes made out of soap. They have these little paper dice. People were rolling dice. They're all fucking lopsided, so you never hit the 7, right? And it was just ugly. But they put me in a cell, and as I walk in, my celly, one of the craziest cellies I've ever had, besides Discúlpame. For those that know the Discúlpame story, tap in, right? If you don't know about it, you'll see it. It's on my video list. But anyway, so I tap in, and they put me in the cell. Cop opens the door like, go, you're in cell, whatever. So as I go walking in, my celly is sitting there with bifocals that could see what exactly the fucking drones are, right? This guy got thick-ass bifocals, wily-ass coyote hair, just crazy looking. He's sitting Indian style in the middle of his bunk reading the Reader's Digest, right? I knew at that point right there I should sock him in his mouth. That's how I felt. Like, oh, this guy is in here for doing all kinds of R. Kelly shit. This Vato was Diddy before Diddy was Diddy. No Diddy, right? He was fucking weird looking. So as I walk in, I keep my backsides to the door because at this point, I don't know, Devato with these x-ray glasses can see right through my fucking calzones. So I'm like, oh, hell no. Nah. What did they put me in with? And he was a bigger dude, right? I wasn't intimidated by his size, but the look in his eyes, he was seeing right through me. Now, I didn't even take for granted that he had these big-ass thick bifocals and it just looked that way. But I assumed this Vato was looking at me like he wanted to do something strange for a little bit of change, right? So I walk in, and I'm like, what's up, homie? Right. And I got my it's not paperwork, but it's your lockup order, basically, right? Something similar to that. What I'm in county jail for, I throw my shit on his bed, right on his lap, like, here. Oh, Spence, I didn't mean to hit you on the balls. There you go. That's what I'm in here for. Now, in this case, that's proper cell etiquette. I'd expect him to show me his. He don't even get up. He looks down and brushes it to the side and keeps reading about Marilyn Monroe fucking getting abducted by aliens. And so I'm just looking at him. I'm like, damn, man, I got to say something. I can't be in a cell for too long with this guy because if I have any homies on this tier, they're going to be like, damn, bro, what's going on? So immediately I walk out of the cell. Like I said, the cell doors were open. You could have interaction. So I start walking around and there's a white guy that's standing right there. A good old wood, brother. You can always depend on a wood. So I'm not going to lie. I walk up to him. First thing he looks at me, I can see the look in his eyes. Without him saying anything, he's looking at me like, you got coffee, brother? Right? And I don't. Because I just got there. I'm going to when I hit canteen. So anyways, I'm like, hey, what's up, bro? I was like, hey, what cell are you in? I'm trying to make small talk. And he's not really trying to talk to me because he don't know who the fuck I am. Plus, I'm Mexican, homie. So he's like, what's up, brother? I'm like, hey, yeah, my celly, is he solid, bro? He's like, who the fuck's your celly, brother? I was like, he's I don't know, the guy over there that looks like Homie the Clown, only the Armenian version. I don't know. He looks Armenian to me, bro. He looked very like, I know, he looked like an Armenian dude. And he was like, oh, no, bro, I just got in last night. You know what I'm saying? I'm on a great one. This Valto's in the corner fucking spazzing out. I'm like, ah, shit. So then I see a couple black dudes, and they're playing dice with lopsided dice. I'm like, hey, what's up, brothers? And I've always been very cool with blacks. You know, I could talk to them. Having grown up in California and, you know, being around fucking a lot of brothers, you know, in my area, I'm just cool with them. So I'm like, what's up? They're looking at me like, brother, if you don't back on up, you don't see us playing dice on power, back up, right? I'm like, oh, shit. So nobody wants to give me the heads up into who this fucking scoundrel is. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to go deal with fucking Count Chocula myself. So I walk into the cell, and now what happens is it's count time. So as the cop walks by to do their count, they're shut your doors. You're going to be locked in yourself for a little while until the cop's off the tier, and then they release the doors again. And it's like that all the way until lockup time, and then boom. Pretty cool county jail, man. It was different than what I'm used to. Usually you're doing 23 and 1s in county jail. You're in your cell all fucking day and they barely let you out, right? But this was different. So as I'm in there, he's just being quiet. He's still reading about fucking, the 10 people that got abducted by fucking Bigfoot. And I just finally said, I'm like, hey, bro, what's up, man? Hey, can I see your paperwork? And he literally sets the book down like this. Like, I'll never forget. He looks down. He takes his glasses off. Thick ass glasses, too. If he hit me in the head with them, the motherfuckers would have hurt, right? He starts shining them. He says, do you really have enough time to read my case? I'm like, I mean, shit, I need to know what you're in here for. And he goes, under the bed. Now, mind you, the beds are not bottom bunk, top bunk. They're 2 side beds, okay? So I have the left side. He's on the right side. He's already been there. And I haven't even made my bed yet because I haven't decided I'm going to stay in this motherfucking cell. If I read anything with the CH word, I don't give a fuck if it's like fucking anything. I'm going to fucking take flight. And so he's like, you got time to read my case? I'm like, yeah. So he just continues to read his book. So I start going through the shit. He's like, read the first thing. So as I'm reading, my mind is blown, right? And he sees that my mind is blown. I can tell you right now, he wasn't in on no weird case. I mean, it was a weird case, but it wasn't a weird case, if you understand what I'm saying, right? So I'm like, damn, bro, this is a lot to read through. So he said, let me give you the fast track. I'll just tell you my story. So I'm like, yeah. He said, so first of all, I'm a doctor. So you're a doctor? He says, yeah, I've been a doctor my whole life. And then come to find out he's a chiropractor. He ain't really a fucking doctor. He pops people's backs, right? But allegedly he's a doctor in his own mind. So he's like, I'm a doctor. And he starts telling me about all these schools he went to and how he was raised by both parents, like Clarence and Calvin, big boy. And how he just, his whole life, he's never been involved in crime. This is his first case. If he's going to do it, he's going to do it big and all these different things. And he seems cool when he talks to you. He's not all wily, all weirded out. He's like direct and to the point, very professional, very respectful. So here's the story he tells me. So he's a chiropractor. He owns his own business, pretty lucrative business. He was doing pretty good. He was making money. And by the canteen in that cell, the shots of coffee, brother, I could tell that he was really having money. And so he had a wife that he married out of college. Perfect family, 2 sons, 1 daughter. His kids were in college. He had an older son that had his own business, his own practice. He was a lawyer. He had another son that was in college and a daughter that had just graduated and was like a freshman in college. So this fool had like the perfect life, what you would expect to be the perfect life. But he didn't have the perfect wife, right? So his wife had decided somewhere along the lines that one of his partners from college, one of the homeboys that he kept in good contact with, one of his good homeboys, and this shows you that you don't always trust everyone you think you're close to, right? Was having an affair with his wife. So that went on for years. What happens is he ended up finding out about that. And he confronted the dude. And the dude pretty much punked him and told him, hey, look, she could give a mean mamon. And that's just that. And it's just going to be like that and whatever. And you got to understand, him coming from the lifestyle he came from, he never was exposed to fighting. He never was athletic and into sports. He was what people would consider a nerd, right? With heart, though, major heart. So he kind of bowed down to that guy, got at his wife. They split up for a long time, but ended up finding themselves back together. And it was what it was. They did it for the kids' sake, he told me. So now his kids are all moved out, and his wife, starts to become a little bit more distant. So he already sees it. And he said something clicked in his mind. He was at work. He was dealing with one of his coworkers, a secretary. She was going through some shit with her boyfriend, and she came to work, and she had a black eye. She was beat up, and she said that her boyfriend went off on her. He was cheating on her, this, and that. He took it out on her, and this clicked in his mind. And so he wanted to confront his wife, but he didn't just want to confront her the way a normal person would confront her. Like, he wanted to confront her. He wanted to confuzzle her, right? So he kind of started to do his investigation. He hired a private detective. And I was reading all this as he's talking about it. True stories. And he finds out that his wife is cheating with the brother, a black dude, right? Some dude she met online, whatever. That's how people meet nowadays. And I mean, this dude is dogging her pussy out. He's tearing her up to the point where this guy is just falling in. He said it went from a baked potato to what is that called? A twice baked potato. That shit just exploded con sour cream. It was just all bad, right? He said that one time he went down
on her and he was like, God damn, what's wrong with it? And she said, no, it's the same. He said, man, that ain't the same emoji.
He was like, nah, something happened to that, right? I'm going to tell you what happened to that. Clarence with both parents got a hold of that. And they went fucking Detroit Motor City Machine Gun on it. So the brother is tearing his wife back, and he's getting more and more upset. So he hires a private investigator. Private investigator tells him, your wife's cheating on you. This is what it is. So he's going to confront him. Only he doesn't want to confront. He wants to confront his wife and her boyfriend, how they are, like, in the mix. Like, he wants to see it to believe it. The smell wasn't enough for him. The Arby's wasn't enough for him. He needed to see it in action to realize what he was going to do. But he had already told me that he made his mind up what he was going to do. So what he did is he went and bought a gun. He went to actually Big Five Sporting Goods, like a baboso, waited till he got his clearance, got his little cuete. It was a big old 45, a big old fucking, come on, homie, make my day, right? He was going to make someone's day, his own day. So what happened was he gets home and he knows his wife's upstairs with this guy. He knows the private detective had figured out that they meet after work. He gets off work a few hours later. She brings this boyfriend home, sleeps in his bed with them for a couple hours, cooks him dinner, makes him the Stouffer's fucking TV dinner. And then he goes, and when old boy gets home talking about, oh man, where's my turkey dinner? She was like, oh, I don't know. You know what I mean? And that brother's over there wiping turkey juice away from his shit with other juices. So this guy gets home. First, he tells me that he stops at a store and buys him a bottle of wine. Not that he needed it. He already knew what he was going to do. Got home, put him a TV dinner into the oven, turned the oven on, sat down, put some music on, drank him a couple glasses of wine, grabbed his gun, went upstairs, confronted his wife and her boyfriend, and killed both of them, right? Unalived them. So he does this. He walks downstairs, takes his TV dinner out of the oven, eats it, drinks a couple more glasses of wine, goes up there, decides to put the guy in the bathtub because he doesn't want him touching his wife, right? And lays with his wife for a few hours and explains why he did what he did. Now, she's gone. You got to understand. The whole time he's telling me the story, his fucking eyes are like reliving it. And I'm living it with them. And I'm like, this crazy motherfucker might kill me, right? I didn't want to tell him that I had thought he was a weirdo, right? So he's telling me the story. So I get to a thing called necrophilia. I don't know if you've ever heard of that word. Up until this point, I had never heard of that. So I start reading, and there's some accusations there that he, did some wild shit with his wife when she was already gone. So I hit him up on it. I immediately jump up like, hey, bro, what's this? I don't understand that. I don't understand philia, and I'm not feeling that, right? I was like,
damn, homie, what is this? I thought it was all good, but all of a sudden, what were you doing?
He said, no. Hold your horses. He was like, what happened was, I was giving my wife kisses and telling her the story. And what had happened was he had went downstairs somewhere in the meantime, in between time, called the police, told him that he was upstairs laying with his wife. She was deceased. Her boyfriend was deceased. This is what it was. When they came up, he was giving her kisses on her cheek and on her head because he was feeling remorseful, I guess. And they charged him with that. But he didn't do it. Now, in my line of work, where I come from, you can't have no type of philia, none of that, right? So I was pretty but I read all through his paperwork, and exactly what he said he done is what he done. They just decided to pile more charges on top of more charges, right? So I've told the stories about him before, how he was a chiropractor, right? And so what had happened was we're kicking back and my back's hurting. I got bad posture. I've always had bad posture. What happened was when I was in the youth authority in Nellis, we had a riot with the Southsiders, and one of them hit me in the back with a chair and it split my muscle right here. And so every once in a while I get it burns. They separated my shoulder, my muscle, right? And it's always been like that. So from that point on, from a youngster on, I always had bad posture because my shoulder's fucked. I'm all fucked up, man. I got stabbed, battery packed, shot before in the head. Crazy shit has happened in my life, right? That's why I don't want you to live the life I live, because
it sucks.
But anyways, so this dude's a chiropractor, so he's popping my back. It's not like it's going to help my muscle, but it felt good, right? And so me, the hustler I am, I get to meeting dudes and on the tier, and I start slanging chiropractic sessions for $5 a pop, right? He got money, so I'm going to keep the money, right? And he's doing it. We start hustling in there. Solid dude, okay? But let me explain to you exactly what the type of monster I was in the cell with. So we're cool, man. Everything's cool. Like I said, he gets canteen. I'm fighting my case. This Vato was very smart. His son was a lawyer. So he would call his son to get pointers on my case, even though I had a public defender. I was trying to fight my own shit, trying to get a good deal, right? I knew I was going to do 3 or 4 years, which ultimately I got sentenced to, and I did. But we didn't end up being cellies for too long. We were cellies for like a month and a half. And what happens was there's this big old white dude that used to punk everyone for their coffee. He just peek in your cell like, can I have a shot, brother? Yeah, I'm going to fucking hit you with an uppercut shot if you don't get the fuck out of my cell. And because this dude was a white dude, he was like not Armenian. He was Slovene. I don't know. He was some fucking Norwegian type motherfucker, Viking, right? Because he was that, you know, he had to kick it with the whites. Even though we were set up together, there was one other homeboy, one other northerner there. Man, me and him were kicking it. He was from SAC. The homeboy T from SAC. That was my boy. And these guys right here were friends. Well, I just started punking this dude. And let me tell you what happens. Okay. Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's eye off, right? Or ear off. This guy bit dude's eye out. True stories, right? So what happens is my cell, he's like pacing in the cell. He's looking nervous. By this time, we're cool. I find out his case is solid, like I said. Good dude. And he's like, man, I think I'm going to have to deal with someone. I don't want to deal with it. What if I pay you? Will you deal with it? I said, nah, I'm not going to cause, like, there's only me and one homeboy. We're not going to get into it with all the woods, brother. That's your people's brother, right? So I'm telling you, you got to just deal with this, handle your business. Fuck, he's like, nah, because if I do, they're going to jump me every day and take everything I have. He's like, I'm just going to, what do I do? And I was like, man, you got to just go all out. I didn't know what all out meant to him. I know what all out meant to me, like take flight and whatever. Nah, this guy was different, right? So this guy waited. He waited until the cop was doing when they would lock the doors for a count and ran out of the cell. Now, the big white dude was single cell because his cellie had got out like 2 days before, and they were just keeping his cell empty because every cellie he had issues with, right? My cellie ran down there, and I'm thinking, oh, this fool's an idiot. And when he took off in the cell, the cops chasing him. Hey, so he wasn't in there that long. It took the cops to pull the pin and run, and other cops to come in the building and run down. My cellie had fucking chewed this dude's eyelid off and bit his whole eye up. Real talk. That fool came out looking like Hannibal Lecter. I was like, he got him. He got him, right? He's like, you can keep all my shit. He went fucking nuts on him. He got pushed to the extreme. He was probably the craziest cellie that I ever had with the craziest case. He ended up getting life. He ended up getting life without the possibility of parole, man. And I never ran into him in the system. I heard where he went, the prison he went to, but I just never ran into him in the system. But that fool did that. There was sangre everywhere, blood everywhere. It was just a crazy case. And so I just wanted to tell the story, you know, for people that say crazy cellies. I've had some. I've had some cool cellies. I've had some crazy cellies. Like I said, me and him were super cool. He was a good dude, but he was definitely not the one to be fucked with. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. All facts, all truth, man. Thumbs up or thumbs down. This is why I say prison, county jails, all that, it's nothing to play with, man. You think you're going to go in there, man, I'm a gangster. I can do time until you meet fucking a real life cannibal. Then what? Lecter was right there, Hector. You know what it is. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. I appreciate you. Bang, bang.